Hey everyone, welcome to Data Millennials. I am Atul and in this video we are going to discuss the line chart in Data Studio or Looker. A line chart is a graphical representation of a value that connects a series of data points with a continuous line. This is the most basic type of chart used in finance. Line charts can be used for any time frame, but they most often use day-to-day value changes. So you might be thinking that what line charts might be useful for us, right? So there are key takeaways of a line chart that can be summarized something like this: that a line chart displays information as a series of data points connected by straight line segments. Second, it is a way of visually representing a value history using a single continuous line. Now, as you have seen the definition, or I have given you a general information about line chart, you might be thinking that what is a line chart used for, right? So let me tell you, line chart is a type of chart used to show information that changes over time, and line charts are created by plotting a series of several points and connecting them with a single straight line. Line charts are used to track changes over short and longer period of time. So whenever you want to track changes over the period of time for anything, it might be related to some kind of financial tracker, it might be related to some kind of business value tracking, then you might be using this line chart for a longer period of time or even for a shorter period of time. So let's go and create this line chart from scratch. So first of all, what I'm going to do over here is that I'm going to click on this edit button so that I can go and edit this page. Okay, and I'm going to add a page so that I can show you how you can create this line chart from scratch. So let me first copy this header and put it over here. Now, if you want to add a line chart, the first thing that is important for us to add a data source. If you have already added a data source in your report, then you will be able to add a line chart directly. But if you have not added a data source, then you need to add a data source first. And I'll also show you how you can add a data source when you are creating a chart or a line chart. So to add a line chart, you have to go to your navigation panel over here under this add a chart section, and then you will see that you have a third option over here under this line is the line chart. So if you click on it, then you will be able to add a line chart on your report. So once you select a line chart, then Looker will automatically detect a data source from the n number of data sources that you have selected, or the last data source which you have used in your report, and it will create a line chart with dimension and matrices value for you. But let's go to its setup and discuss about everything one by one. So the first option in your setup is the data source. So with this data source section, you can actually select of which data source you want to create the line chart. So for us, I have already added this GDS 18, and if I go over here, then you can see that this is the data set. So let's go back to our Looker. Now if you want to add a data source, then what you can do is that you can click over here and select the data. But if you have not uploaded or loaded your data on Looker, you can click on this add data section. Once you click on it, then Looker will take you to a page which says connect to data, and you can select any of the connector from here, and then you can load your data and select that data as a data source. The next option that we have is the date range dimension. This date range dimension will have a date and time field over here. If your data source has any column which has date, then Looker will automatically detect it and put it over here. But if your data source doesn't have a date column, then it will always be a blank. Now the next option that we have over here is dimension. This is the important part. Now I want to show my mobile phone users versus internet hosts based on country level. So in order to show that, I have to select country name over here, and by default Looker has already selected country name. But suppose Looker had selected continent over here, okay, and I want to change my dimension from continent to country. Then what I can do is that I can basically go over here, click over here and select country name. Then you will see that on your x-axis you have country names. Now let's go back and select continent for a minute. Okay, and there is an option for drill down. Now if you want your user to have a facility of drilling down on your graph and chart, then you can keep this drill down option on, and then you have to add dimension. After continent, your user can select a particular country. Okay, so if you add the dimension over here as country, and if I go to view, then you will see that you have Europe and Asia, and you have a button over here which says drill down from continent to country name. If you click over here, then you will see that you went from continent to country. Similarly, if you want to drill up, then you have to click over here, or you can click over here to reset this chart. So let's click over here to get our graph at a continent level. Let's go back to edit mode, and let's keep the dimension at country and drill down level at country name. Sorry, let's keep dimension at continent and drill down level at country name. Now when you have added this drill down option, then there is another option that comes over here as a breakdown dimension. So you can select breakdown dimension based on your requirement. So let's keep the country level. Okay, so what happens when you select the country level? So this breakdown dimension basically aggregate your data based on the field which you have selected over here. But for us in this example, we do not want to show the breakdown dimension, so let's remove it from here. Now the next important option that we have over here is to add matrices. So the first thing that you need to understand about matrices is that matrices is the fields in your data source which you want to compare in your line graph. So what I want to compare the mobile phone users versus the total number of internet hosts that are present in a country. So the first metric that I'm going to select is the phone users or mobile phone users. Okay, now I can add the another matrix over here which will be my internet hosts. Now you can see over here that I have two line graph. The first one is the phone mobile and the second one is the internet hosts. Now if you want to add optional matrices, then you can check this option and add the optional matrices from here, but for us we do not want to add any optional matrices, so we'll keep it off. Now the next option that we have over here is the metric slider. What this metric slider does is that it gives you an option, or it gives your user an option to select the range of values between these matrices on your chart or graph. So let's keep this metric slider on, and if I go to view, then what you will see is that you will have this option over here, metric slider. If you select this, then you will see that you have mobile phone and you have a range over here, you have internet host, you have a range over here, and if you want you can select the range based on your requirement, and your graph or chart will reflect data based on your selection. So let's clear it out and go back to edit mode. Okay, the next option that we have is sort, right? So if you want to sort your graph or chart based on a particular matrices, then you can do it from here. So let's sort it out based on mobile phone only, but in ascending order, not in descending order. Now at a prima facie, you can say that Europe has less mobile phone users and Asia has a huge number of people for mobile phone as well as internet hosts. Reason being that Asia has much higher population as compared to Europe. But there are two countries which might we consider as an outlier. The first country is India and second country is China, because both of these two countries has a much higher number of population as compared to any other country in the world. So if you want to exclude those two countries, then you have to add a filter in this chart, and Looker gives you an option to put filter on this chart from here. So if you want to add a filter, you just have to come under this setup and click on add a filter, and then you can create a filter from here. Then you have to put a name saying that which kind of filter or what filter you are applying, so that whenever you come back to this report and see this filter, you might remember, or you get an idea that what filter you had applied on this chart. So let's put filter China, India. So I want to exclude China from my country name. So I'll put China over here. Then again, I'll click on and to exclude India also. So I'll select my field, which is country name, and condition should be equal to India, and I'll click on save. So now you will see that still Asia has a higher number of population, so the graph has changed a little bit. Now as you have added filtration, let's go and see the style section of this line chart. Before we go ahead, let me drill it down at a country level so that you can see the data values or the graph and chart at a country level. Now under this style section, the first option that we have over here is the series number 1. As you might remember, the first matrices that we added in our chart is the phone number. So if you want to change at a certain point of time, you want to change your graph from line to bars, you can select it, right? But as we are discussing line chart, so we'll keep it as a line, and this is the line weight. If you want to change the line weight of mobile phone or your series first, you can change it from here. The next option that we have is the series color. If you want to change the series color, you can change it from here. You have multiple options. Then if you want to show your data value at a cumulative level, then you can select this option and your data will be shown as a cumulative, that what is the total number of people using mobile phone. But what we want to do is that we want to compare the mobile phone users versus the internet host at a country level, so we do not need to select this cumulative option. Now if you want to show points, you can select it over here, and when you go to view, then you will be able to identify that for Poland this is the point. Let's go back to edit this chart furthermore. So if you do not want to show the points, then you uncheck this option, and this is the data level. So if you have to show data level on your graph, then you can check this option and your data level will start appearing on the graph. But as our data is huge and the numbers are huge, it's not advisable to show it on the graph, so we'll remove it. Now we have an option for axis, that if you want your axis to change from left to right for this first series first, then you can change it from left to right over here. Okay, so let's keep it left so that we'll change this axis for our internet host, so that the internet host's value can be plotted on the right hand side. Again, we have series 2, which is our internet hosts. So all the options are same, so I'll skip these and simply I'm going to select right over here in axis, so that our chart will be visually appealing. Now I also want to change the color of this internet hosts, so I've changed the color from here. Now if you want to have your line chart smoothened, then you can select this option, smoothen, and your line chart will be smooth. Then under this general section, you have an option of stacked bar. If you're using a bar chart or combo bar chart or combo stacked chart, then you can select this stacked bar, but for our line chart it's not useful. So let's go ahead. The next option that we have over here is the reference line. If you want to add a reference line so that you can compare both of these two matrices with that reference line, then you can click on add a reference line and put the values over here. As we do not have any reference value to compare it with internet hosts and mobile phone, we are not going to add a reference line over here. Now the next option that we have is axes, that if you want to show axes, you can select this button, and by default Looker will always select this button so that you can see your axes. And if you uncheck this, then you will see that all the axes values which were appearing over earlier will be hidden. So it's always better to select this show axis. The next option that we have is reverse y-axis direction. If you select this option, then your y-axis will be reversed. Similarly, if you select this reverse x-axis direction, then your x-axis direction will be reversed. Now the next option that we have under style is left y-axis. If you want to show title or legend of the y-axis, you can select it, and you will see that phone mobile starts appearing over here so that your user can understand what this number represents. Then you have an option to set the minimum and maximum value for the y-axis. Under this y-axis, you have an option to custom hatch mark interval. So currently you can see over here that the interval is around 50 million. If you want your interval at a specific number or a specific value, then you can put your interval over here, and you will see that y-axis value will be shown at that interval. Now if you want to change your chart style into a log scale, then you can select this option, and you will see that your chart will get plotted on a log scale. Now we have the similar option for y-axis also. So I'll select log scale for y-axis also, because for x-axis I have selected the log scale. Now similar to x-axis, we have the y-axis. If you want to show the axis title, you can select this option, and then you have the same options of minimum axis value, maximum axis value, and the interval over here. Now if you want to change anything within this chart grids, then you can change from here. This is the axis color, this is the grid color. So most often people doesn't like these grid lines, so I'll put it as transparent so that I can show my graph on a transparent background. And if you want to change anything related to fonts, then you can select from here. So let's select other font style, and you will see that all of these fonts for x-axis and y-axis legends will change. And if you want to change the font size, you can select it from here. Label font size, you can select it from here. Similarly, you have the chart background. If you want to change the chart background, then you can select any color from here. Okay, and you have a chart border color. If you want to change the chart border, then you can select any color from here by clicking on this pencil. The next option that we have under this style is legend. If you want to change the legend font color, you can change it from here. Okay, and if you want to change the font size, you can change it from here. So by default, Looker will always select auto. Based on your requirement, you can change the legend font size as well as the font family. Now this is the option where you will see that your legend, how your legends are appearing. If you want to change your legends from top to bottom, then you have to select this option. Okay, as you can see over here, it went to the bottom, so let's keep it on the top over here, right? And then if you want to change the alignment, currently it's aligned to left. If you want to change it from left to right or center, you can do it from here. So let's keep it in center. And suppose you have selected 5 or 10 matrices in your line chart, and you want all your legends to be appearing in 2 different line or 3 different line, then you can select the max number of line for legends from here, and the legends will get distributed in the number of lines that you have selected. Now the last option that we have over here is the background and border. If you want to change the background of your chart, then you can select any color from here. Similarly, if you want to add borders, then you can select border color as well as the border weight and border style. Similarly, you have this border radius and opacity of the background for this chart over here. You can select the border radius and the opacity of your background color which you have selected. So let's select a color. Let's say we want this color. Okay, and I want this opacity to be at 40% or 30%. So you can see that the opacity of this chart has reduced to 30%. So let's remove this color, put it as transparent, opacity at 100%, right? And the last option that you have is the add border shadow. If you want to add border shadow, you can select this option, but most often it's not useful, so we'll not select this. So this is how basically you can create and customize your line chart in Looker. Happy learning, and see you in the next video.